All right, YouTube, another day in the shop. Kind of gloomy out there in Florida. We got that north wind coming down and bringing up the moisture and stuff. Yeah, it's kind of nasty out there today. In the shop today, doing the non-glorious job of deburring and getting everything ready for paint prep. Yeah, it's just a necessary evil. I mean, this is the doldrums of building an airplane. Nothing too exciting. Like I said, I got a lot of bluing to remove. I've got a lot of lightning holes I need to deburr, some edges that also need to be deburred, and it is just the process of doing it. Yeah, I mean, deburring, a lot of people equate deburring an airplane to the old primer. Should I prime? Should I not prime? It's not even in the same ballpark, guys. You have to deburr your airplane. There's a couple reasons. Number one, keep you from cutting where there's a lot of sheet metal, thin aluminum sheet metal. It will cut you up. Usually what I do on those sheets is I'll deburr the edges before I even start, that's the first thing I do to them. So because I'm, moving with them, that way I don't cut my hands up, my fingers, my arms and everything. But you've got to deburr, because anywhere where you have any kind of material that comes to a 90 degree to itself, i.e. an edge, if you have an edge, those sharp edges, that's where those micro cracks will form. And then those micro cracks will turn into bigger cracks, stress cracks. Cracks typically lead to failure. Yeah, that's why when you go look at an airplane, none of the windows they're not square. Besides the aerodynamic, the air catching in there, but they're rounded, and that's why everything on an airplane is rounded. You don't have square edges. You don't have parts that come at 90 degree angles to each other. You just don't do it. It's just not, your material scientists out there will tell you that where those come to 90 degree, that will lead to cracks. If you look at knives, that's why knives dull, because they do come at perpendicular. Actually, a knife edge is about 20 degrees, 22, depending on the type of knife, the manufacturer. But yeah, you'll get little cracks if you look at knife edges and stuff. You'll see little fissures in there where they crack and everything, and that's just leads to fatigue and a material failure. So you have to deburr. Forget about cutting your hands. You have to deburr, because it is a place where you could have potential failure. Not saying you will have failure. I don't want to say that, because I've been flying an airplane for 40 years and never had a failure. Well, guess what? I had a buddy the other day flying his airplane. On final, lost an engine. Had no RPM. Just he gave it the gas, and he was telling the story over the weekend. Very well maintained airplane. I know the guy. And I know how particular he is, so I know that airplane was maintained. Had a failure. Things fail, things break, and if you know of an area in your building that could potentially lead to a failure, you got to fix it. You don't have a choice. Well, you have a choice. It's probably not the right choice. You probably shouldn't be flying. But yeah, you have to deburr. It's not the same as, I don't care if your plane corrodes and you want to lose the value in your airplane, it's totally up to you. But yeah, when it comes to deburring, it should not be negotiable. So enough of that. Get off my soapbox. You're here to watch me build an airplane. But today I can honestly tell you, there's not going to be a whole lot of videos. We're just going to deburr. You guys have seen me do that before and everything. I've got my deburring tool that I use. I've got the bench over here, the grinders, not on the grinder, but that's on a buffer motor. So you got that. Got my die grinder on the air hose. It's just a lot of deburring. So like always, you guys know the routine. This plane's not going to build itself. I need to quit talking. I need to get to work. I'd like to get out of here and have a little bit left of my weekend. So be well, be safe, and yeah, if I run across something, you guys know the routine. I will definitely share it with you. All right, enough of that. All right, so I was thinking about shooting a video because I don't think I've shown this, or maybe I did, but I'll show it again. So when I use my die grinder to get the metal ready for paint, what I do is I go over the pieces. Once again, I've already deburred the holes. I use this tool with a deburring bit and a very slow RPM. I'm not trying to change the contour or anything like that. I'm just trying to knock off the shavings or the deburr. And when you say shavings, I'll show you on this piece. See that shaving right there? See the shavings? So I still got to deburr these holes. And so the purpose of this deburring is not to change. You're not trying to chamfer. You're just trying to knock those shavings off. See how I did that? So I have to do this because if you guys remember, I just did. But I'm not trying to contour that hole at all. So I got that. But when I get my parts ready for paint, see how I scarf that up using the diamond, the wheel, and then I also use my red Scotch-Brite. This guy has seen better days. Because when you first get the part, see how shiny it is? And then after you scarf it up, that will help the paint adhere. And even though you use self-etching primer or whatever it is, you want to put these scratches in it because that allows it to bond. It gives it surface area. You're actually increasing the surface area by a magnitude of about 10 because each one of those grooves instead of having a flat. So it allows the paint, whatever paint, if you're using self-etching, if you're using the epoxy paint like I'm going to, you want to scarf it up like that to that severity. Because it gives it more surface area, more adhesion area and everything. So what I typically do is on the flat surfaces, I use my DA tool for the sides and everything. I just run it with, I'll just use a Scotch-Brite pad and scarf it up. I mean, the whole goal is if it, see how it's shiny? See how that's shiny? Undone, done. See how it's dull now? That's what you're going for. You're going for that dullness, and that will help your paint adhere. I will tell you, I've had great luck, even with the rattle can paint. If you want to use a rattle can, go ahead, use it. Don't be afraid to use it. You know, it's a cost thing. The only reason why I'm not doing it is because the rattle can paint a whole airplane. It's very expensive. It's expensive anyways to have an airplane. It's relative. But it would be extremely expensive to rattle can the whole airplane. Whereas, if you buy the 2-part epoxies, it's a fraction of the cost. But you do lose. You got to have the ability to paint. I have a 5-stage, and we'll get into that in the painting. But I have a professional painting system, not one that you buy at a box store. It's a 5-stage. It's made to do this, and it's a turbine, so it's a constant pressure. It's not running through a pump or anything like that. It's actually a turbine pump system, and then you'll see it when we go to paint. But if you have that, if you want to go that route, if you need to go that route because of other things, you know, it's totally up to you. I think it's a little bit overkill if all you're doing is painting an airplane. But if you paint other things professionally, then yeah, go for it. So enough of that. I just want to share that with you. See, there's a little dull spot there. And it's not, you're not trying to, I can't do it because it will shoot that part out. But you're just trying to scarf it up. You just want to get rid of all the mirror surfaces. If it's mirrored, then it's too flat. And you just want to put that swirl in there. You can actually do this all using the Scotch-Brite pads. I prefer to use the DA because it's just die grinder. It's just makes it a little bit quicker. And everything. So share that with you. Undone, done. Except for a little spot right there that I saw when I was doing the video. So let me get back to work. All right. So I wanted to share something with you. So these pieces they're aluminum, but when you get them, they got a gray, kind of like plastic. I couldn't get this plastic off. So I just took them on the buffing wheel. And you gotta be careful though, you know, obviously you don't want to take too much off, but it takes that off. I just couldn't, like I said, I couldn't get, but it is aluminum under here and it's like a gray coating. So I felt that the best way to remove that was probably a buffing wheel. I didn't try acetone. Maybe I should try acetone. So let me do that. Let me give a little dab of acetone and see if I can get that gray off. Yeah, as I suspected, the acetone didn't work either. It does take off the top layer of plastic, but it doesn't take off this gray. I don't know if your pieces are going to have this on here, so I just use the buffing wheel. It's actually, I don't know what, it's kind of like a glue or some kind of like a primer that they put on there. On this part, you can, I tried to DA it or to use the die grinder, didn't work, so the buffing wheel, it works the most. Now the main thing is you got to make sure that you're not changing the shape of it, or you're not, you know, destroying the shape of this. So don't, if you're going to use the buffing wheel with the stone or whatever, just make sure you're not, you know, taking material off. The whole goal is to get this gray off and everything, but not actually change the shape of this piece. It is kind of critical. It does go, and I'll put a picture up there again, right there. So there are parts that, very important parts, i.e. the horizontal stabilizer that attaches to this. So it's important that you don't weaken it any, but you do have to get this gray off if you want to be able to prime it. And I would recommend taking it off. I don't know what kind of chemical this is. Typically, when you take metal and you have a chemical or you have some kind of coating between the two, if it's not made for the thing, that will actually induce a form of corrosion as well. So you just got, you know, not knowing, it's better to take it off, get it down to its core material, and then prime it from there. That way you know what's under here. But I don't know what this material is. Maybe someone in the can leave a comment, let me know. But yeah, it's just brutal to get off. And the only way I found out is just using it on the buffing wheel. Use the buffer to take it off. So, all right, just want to share that with you. All right, YouTube. So, look at that mess. Aluminum oxide and Scotch-Brite pad. That Scotch-Brite pad. I think this Scotch-Brite pad is pretty much you seen as better day. Looks like something you would pick up at the bottom of the sea in the game called Nautica. If you guys play video games, you know what that is. All right, so here it is, the pile of aluminum. All those pieces have been deburred and scarfed up sufficiently for paint. I do have to, you know, do a coating. It's a little bit different process with using the epoxy, and we will get to that. I did make one mistake. I actually scarfed up the bottom of the tail cone, which was going to get painted. So after I did it, I realized what I did. I did the bottom and the top, and this is actually exterior to the plane, but you know, it's going to get painted. I just saved the painter a step. So I got that. I did remember to do it right on this side. So these are the coverings, access hole coverings for the tail to get up inside and get to the rudder controls, so you can service them. I did leave the blue on. But I did make a mistake. Oh well. Like I said, no big deal. What is next? So I've got the longerons here, which I need to still do. I've got the ribs as well. They got bluing on them. But I think what I am going to do is, there's no way that I'm going to be painting tomorrow and everything. And I've got a good 3 hours in the shop today. It was, you know, getting all that prepped. I think what I'll do is just call it a night and get back in here and get onto those longerons. And like I said, right, longerons? Get on the longerons and then get on those ribs. I got to pull the bluing off of that as well. And there's nothing major. It's just, like I said, tedious. None of this is major operations. It's just tedious. You know, it's just going through the process, going through the motions. There's 11, I believe, 11 or 12. So it's not going to take that long. Got a new Scotch-Brite pad over there. I'll break that out. It's just basically running the pieces, you know, holding the pieces and then pulling them through the Scotch-Brite pad. So it won't take that long to get them done. It will actually probably take longer to get the tags off and then put the tags back on and everything. I know a lot of you guys ask, why don't I mark on the part? Why don't I mark on the part number? with black marker. Well, I acetone everything, and with using acetone, that will clearly take those markings off. Number one. Number two, if you paint correctly, prime correctly, you should not see the markings on there. I mean, you're not putting, it's not like a coat of paint, but even if you prime, even if it's faint, you shouldn't see the markings. So they kind of counter do it. So that's why I've got the tags and everything. But that answers your questions. I had a couple people ask me yesterday, why don't I just use a black marker and mark them, a Sharpie, and because you can see airplanes, and I'm not criticizing, hey, look, it's their airplane, do whatever they want to do. But in actuality, the amount of millimeters of primer you have to put on there, you shouldn't see the writings after you paint them. So, just a thought there. So yeah, so I got those to do that are up there. I got the longerons to do that are there, and then I've got those down there that I have to do. Like I said, I think I'm just going to call it a night. I still have to, and I didn't do this while it was on. This one here, I still have to cut out for the rivet lines, so I'll probably get that done as well. I don't want to do it after I paint it because you do put a little bit of heat, and I just don't want to put that type of heat, concentrated heat, on it after it's primed. So I'll get that back on the bench and get it done as well. Now, these skins are all going to be primed on the backside. I know that you guys have watched me do where I just prime the mating surfaces of the skin to the part and left the rest of it open. In this case, I'm going to actually prime the whole skin. So the whole skin's going to be completely primed as well. I'm not going to just do the mating surfaces. I got the primer, I might as well do it. I got enough for the airplane actually, so I might as well just go ahead and do all the skin. So yeah, so that's about it. Status on the elevator. Once these are primed and ready to go, I'm going to let it kick off, let it cure, set up so while these parts are drying and then we'll kick on over and finish up the elevator and get the tab, which is over there. I've got all the parts to do. I got the piano hinge, got everything that I need to complete those, so we'll get those done too. So we still got a lot of work ahead of us. Well, we got a lot of work ahead of us, but in this evolution to get through it, we still got, there's plenty of work to be done. So after the painting and while that's curing and setting up before assembly, we will then pull that sucker down, elevator down, and we'll get that trim tab completed on that and get those trailing edges pro sealed up. I do have the pro seal. So everything's here. We're ready to complete and ready to go. After reviewing, to kind of tell you the time frame, look, it's going to take probably the rest of February for me to finish it. I'll be lucky, or I will be very happy if we have the tail done and assembled by the end of February. Just realistically, the sheer amount of work. I actually feel like for the first time that I'm actually building an airplane. The other stuff was cool, and yeah, I am building an airplane, but this actually, it just feels like you are building an airplane at this point. I mean, table of parts, that's probably the most I've ever seen part-wise, and I know it only grows from there exponentially. So yeah, I mean, it is refreshing, it is rewarding, and it's everything that you think it should be. Building an airplane, it is one of probably the most rewarding things I've done besides my kids and stuff. I can tell you, it's just incredible. So yeah, life is good. So like always, leave a comment, leave a concern in the comment section. Keep it to the building airplane. I'll get back to you guys. And once again, be safe, be well. Hope you guys are staying warm. Hope you are staying healthy with everything, and that includes your mental health. You got to take care of yourself and everything, and spiritually, of course. You know how I feel about that. And with that, I just want to say, may God bless you and your family, and till we see again, till we talk to each other again.